Yeah.
Okay. Happy Friday, guys, and happy Good Friday. Super excited today to be with Robin, Alex on this interview. So, if you guys have seen some of the previous interviews that we've had, my goal is to highlight some of our amazing speakers that we're going to have at Skill Stability next week. This is so crazy and so surreal for me to say that it's next week that it's happening, just because of all the months of preparation that this has been taking. And I'm super grateful for Robin to jumping on here, because I know today is a crazy day for him. And so really thankful, Robin, for you to be here. For those that do not know you, I just wanted to do a little bit of an introduction here. I think we met, I want to say, at least 4 years ago. I remember when we were first doing our first mastermind ever. You guys were part of that. And to this day, I think in every event that we have done, HighLevel has been part of it in one way, shape, form. And super grateful for that, because I feel like we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for some of the support that you guys, have provided. But also, what an encouragement it is to see you guys build what you built to this point. So I want to talk about that. I want you to share a little bit of how did that start it. So for those that do not know you, can you take us back to how did this whole thing of HighLevel come to place? And then we're going to talk a little bit about what HighLevel is.
Yeah. So, for me, kind of on my personal journey, I've been an entrepreneur, since a young age. I was the one that was, printing out song lyrics and trying to sell that to other kids, just the silliest things. I was trying to figure out things on how to make money online, or just in general. But as I've gotten older, I right as I was graduating high school, I started an online company selling game servers, because back then, online video games was really popular. So grew that in my dorm room while I was in college and sold that, which was a fun story. And then kind of transitioned into helping other companies. First I started out as a consultant, then kind of became an entrepreneur at a certain point, working within a company but helping them grow the business. And then from there, I got into IT consulting. And with IT consulting, that's really when the first time that I really got exposed to large budgets, for small businesses, right? $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. And at that time in the world, it was literally in closets, you're putting in servers and trying to get all the computers set up and things like that. But what I also learned at the same time for these small businesses, they were really trying to figure out a digital transformation. It was the first time they're getting online or thinking of it as an opportunity that they could actually leverage their business. So silly things are building a website. What does advertising online look like, and things? And while I was the guy working on all the servers and tech stuff, they would come to me saying, "Hey, we just got this crazy invoice from a company. Can you look at it? What is your opinion?" I would just look at it and say, "Huh, this is interesting. I'm pretty sure I can build a website pretty quickly." And this was before YouTube existed, but there's a lot of stuff online and everything's figure outable. That's always been my so I would just kind of say "Hey, would you be interested if I just did it? I mean, I know your business a little bit better than some outside person." And people just started handing me these projects, and so started building up a portfolio that way. But the challenge that I found was feast and famine, right? So you get a project, you're working super hard on it, you get in a scope creep where they're adding more to it, but you're not getting paid for it. But you're just in the hustle mode of trying to get it done. But one of the biggest transitions was actually how can I take my skills that I'm learning and actually help them grow their business? And this is when I got into advertising and really helping from a consultation perspective of how do you take opportunities that they have and make sure that they can close it. And at that time, I was growing the business very fast and, grew the team to about 20, 30 people around the world and hundreds of clients. And during that journey, I got a call from one of my customers who said, "Hey, there's these two gentlemen. They're releasing another software that I want to implement into my business. Can you talk to them because they need access to certain things?" And lucky for me, that was my now two co-founders, Sean and Varun.
Yeah.
And they were kind of on their own journey, building out different applications and different things like that. And it was just very, very much serendipitous when we got on a call of, we just hit it off right off the bat. I was telling them what I'm doing in the business, what they're trying to achieve. And, at first it was just okay, well, we had a great conversation, but nothing. It's almost dating. I don't know if there's anything. I'm not going to take it seriously. And I remember telling them "Hey, what would it take to build what we're doing in our business?" And what I was doing at the time was taking about 15 different software applications and gluing it together, using APIs and Zapier and stuff like that. And I remember both Sean and Varun kind of looked at it and saying, huh, interesting. Oh, we'll get back to you. And, when someone says that, it's just kind of the
Yeah.
throwaway comment, right? And, lucky for me and, Sean and Varun with their tenacity, they called me a couple of days later saying, hey, can you get on a call with us? And let me show you what we did. And they took that infrastructure that we were building and built it all within what is now kind of the version of HighLevel. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'd love to buy it for all of my customers. But let me test it out. Let me get it, so we loaded it for one customer, immediate success. Then we started loading it for more and more and more. And then, through that process, I was just, just kind of in that giving mode of, this is just amazing. And I want to help you guys' business. Like, can I give this out to other agency owners? Can I get them in contact with you, or I can help you pitch it, or whatever you need? Like, I just want to give you guys so much value because you're saving my business.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I mean, whatever you could do. And I remember making some phone calls. And I remember calling like 20 agencies or so. Everyone says yes, right? As agencies, as business owners, you're always willing to say yes, but the time to actually do what you need, there was about 15 or 12 or 13 actually that actually went through the whole process. And one of them was doing a conference and invited us out. It's the first time I met Sean in person. Varun is on the other side of the world. And we pitched the product at that conference, and everybody loved it from there. And what's been fun about that is, we've definitely grown since then, all word of mouth and just, keeping our heads down and, doing it. And so now we're about 100,000 customers, serving about 3 million businesses or so, 5 million users on the platform. 1,800 people around the world. It's just insane. As I even say it, it's very surreal. But along the journey, you mentioned earlier about us supporting you and others along the way. I've always had a philosophy of, rising tides lift all boats. And it's part of our stewardship of just growing the economy of, digital marketing or, business representation online, and supporting consultants, technologists, and entrepreneurs themselves. And how do you equip all the technology that's available to help grow your business? Because I've always looked at it as, if I can help you grow your business, you're going to be able to provide impact in your communities. And so it becomes a win-win-win, right? Like, the communities get more, you get to help support your family and, whatever your goals are. And then, on the back end, we'll win there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, especially in this, I think in this generation, or like where we're at with business, I think you guys are living up to something that's really important to us. And I think that's where we very much align in values, where it's like, how do we become servant leaders, right? How do we lead others while we're serving them? And I think that's exactly what you guys are representing with everything they do. And that translates to your team. I'm super curious, because I think it was the beginning of the year, or like we had a conversation in Dallas, I want to say like a few months ago, and you guys were just getting to 1,000 teammates, which is, I cannot even imagine, what that is in terms of growth. How have you guys been able to manage, that type of scaling? And we were just talking earlier, just like in the last 4 years, especially, it has been such a rapid growth, that you guys have had. Obviously years of, setting up a foundation that is stable. How do you manage, this day to day of like being able to scale the business, and with this notion of scaling with stability, right? Which I think you guys do a really great job at.
Yeah, I mean, I'll caveat it before I get into it of, we're still figuring it out. I don't have all the answers. Definitely in the throes of it right now. One of the biggest things is, letting go quite a bit. I've had to instill confidence as well as build confidence on my end of bringing in really strong leaders. And this is one of those things that I'm trying to learn and understand on, when you bring in leaders, um, does their skill really matter, or is it just their willingness to actually solve the problem and, having the confidence out there? Because a lot of people come with baggage or expectations that, we're not running the business with, if you're coming from Google or Facebook, like, we're not them, right? Like, I can't give you those same resources or things like that. So really trying to understand that. But, for me, it's, I need to make sure that I'm confident in the person that I'm leaving this baby with you, essentially. And, for me personally, I look at, I have 5 direct reports now, and each one of those, I look at, you're owning your own business. That is a business unit, and you need to treat it as such. And, so there are expectations that need to be met from my KPI perspective, from a measurement, and then just just overall happiness of the team. I think that's an important metric as well. And so being able to find ways to metric and engage against it, I mean that's been super important for me as we're scaling it. And then some other areas that's new to us that we're really trying to understand is having like a data team and a finance team to help. While we are a startup, where we've been profitable, and one of the things that we've always been looking at is continue to spend, put the money back into the company and grow it. But you need to have some sort of guardrails. And so now having a data team and finance team there to really strengthen that up has really guided us quite a bit.
I love that. For those that do not know what HighLevel is, I think that that's something that, like you're probably explaining it everywhere. I see you guys going to a lot of events, and I'm excited for everybody that's attending Skill Stability that has never heard of HighLevel, or maybe this is the first time being able to interact with the team. They're going to be able to have that opportunity. Can you explain what HighLevel is?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just the quick slogan, that we like to say is we're the all-in-one AI CRM platform. But really at the core of it, what it is, it's, yes, we are a CRM platform, and yes, you can do all the cool things that's online, but it's about outcomes. And I think for every business, there's three stages that you need to look at: capture, nurture, and closing. So
Mhm.
you have the tools and the ability online that when you have you need a website online, you need to have capture forms, you need to, just a little form on your website, chat widgets, things like that, to be able to capture those opportunities. There are people always looking for your service and needs. If there wasn't, you wouldn't be in business, right? So when those leads come in, now your job is to nurture them. And with nurturing, this is where you need to have emailing going out, text messaging, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and all those different channels. Are you communicating with those customers or the potential customers? And then being able to monitor and gauge them of like, when they become a hot lead, or what stage they're at within the buyer journey. And then the last stage is really with closing. And so with closing, you think of doing PDF signing, to sending invoices, collecting payments, to sending reviews after you close them on an opportunity, scheduling them for the appointment, for the delivery, or for the services that you're going to provide. So if you think of all those three stages, and we've taken all those different tools online that previously existed, because there used to be this world of, you got to go find the best calendar software, you have to go find the best text messaging software. Now they don't do anything else. You have to then figure out how to glue it all together. We've just looked at it as saying, hey, that's all commodities now. Let's build all those in one place. So it's easier for a business to really just look at it as an operational control panel. And so that's ultimately what we built.
Yeah. And I think, especially as we're talking about entrepreneurship, and how do we scale and grow? I think the HighLevel has provided that component. I think you probably remember, like my background was implementing other CRMs that are way more costly. And when I found HighLevel, I remember thinking like, this cannot be true. Like I still, like to this day, I'm like, when are these guys going to start like charging like per user, just like every
Yeah.
other platform out there. And I have just loved, like, I mean, it shows, right, the values that you guys are instilling in the culture of the business, and really the mission that you have to support business owners as a whole. The fact that you're giving all of these features and options for one person to like really, you can leave, like with HighLevel and like start building your business digitally from day one, right? It does require a little bit of time, of course, like anything, but like just the fact that you have that option and freedom to be able to do it without depending on somebody else. I think that that's just something that I don't think there's a way to quantify, the impact that you guys are doing, outside of like, the millions of dollars that people are generating just because this is available, just like the freedom. I think there's no another way to explain that, right? I know that you guys have an event of your own. You have been like in so many events and meeting so many people and I see it in the community as well. People that their life has literally been changed because of this tool. What are the stories that, you, or maybe a story that has impacted you, as you get to meet, like these people that are using this tool that started with a phone call, just like, hey, I had this need, and now you see it in other people's implementing. Do you have any stories that are like that you still remember?
Yeah, I mean, the stories are getting, just, for me, when someone walks up to me, the fun part about it is kind of the
Yeah.
humbling experience of, hey, you don't know who I am, but I just want to say thank you. And like I've heard stories all the way from before high level. I lost my apartment and was struggling, and I just had my computer, and I walked into a business, and they had a Craigslist ad saying they needed someone to help build a website, and I walked in and pitched them high level, and that took me off, and now I have 20 customers. Like I've always heard the story, and you always hear like those banner stories of someone's making $10 million or $100 million, and that exists, and I don't want to discount that. It's a lot of hard work,
Yeah.
but the ones that like really are impactful to me are the ones that I'm actually able to help. The word that you used, freedom, right? Where they now have a very successful income. Now they're able to go travel with their family, or now buy that first car, or get that house that they've been dreaming of. Like those are the crazy stories that I love hearing. And
Yeah.
now that we're starting to do more global events, as we're going into other countries, like I remember going to Dubai, and someone flew in from I forgot which country, and they came in and said, "Hey, you don't know who I am, but when I found you guys, I remember watching somebody's video online, and I got it, and I just started helping one business." And then that business owner somehow told about how great I am. Now I have a team of about 200 people,
Wow.
and I was able to fly here first class. I'm living life, but it was all because of a silly video that I watched from you guys, and you don't even know who I am. And and I want to stay under the radar, but I just want to say thank you so much. And that person was so nice. Like it's me and the high level team, and we were all just flying in. We're all exhausted and just wanted to say hi to each other. He had covered our whole dinner. Like he was just that thankful for us, and but just the fact that the product for us, we're just building product, right? Like we're just not. We try to get in the trenches as much as possible, but really the value is all the technology partners, all the people working really hard on it, and seeing the impact that they're seeing in their communities and what they're able to provide is just so fascinating.
Love it. Last but not least, before we go, what's your message? I know a lot of people that are watching, some of them are attending the event, and they're going to be able to see you in person and hang out for a little while. I know you're like taking time to be there at least for one of the days of the event, and then the team is going to be there available for the whole event as well. So some of them are going to be able to like ask some questions in person and get to connect. A lot of people, are watching us from different platforms and are probably curious, about like connecting deeper. But what is your message, to the entrepreneur that's watching this, that is feeling overwhelmed, that's juggling, too many tools, that happens too often, too many tasks, and just trying to keep up their business alive? What is your number one message for them?
Yeah, well, there's two things that I would say. One is, just from a philosophical perspective, as a business owner, you signed up to be a glutton for punishment. You're gonna get beat up. It's gonna feel like you're getting beat up every single day, and it's always delayed gratification. So the hard work, the feelings that you're feeling today, it's gonna pay off. And don't rush to making it feel like it's gonna pay off by tomorrow. It might be 6 months from now, 9 months from now, a year from now, but it's just keep your head down and just keep going. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just can't time when the outcome is going to be, but it's going to be there. So just keep going on that front. And then just more from a tactical perspective, what I recommend, if you are getting into software or really trying to figure out how to operationalize and grow, it's take software off the table for a second. Just focus with a piece of paper and map out what your business is going to be from, hey, my leads come in this way. They're coming to the website. They're going to send me an email. What should my response be? Like draft that email out. And then do you text them? What times do you want to text them? What should, like, how do you, like in your mind, how do your business operate without software? Because you can easily hire people and do every single thing of it. And I'm not saying that you need to hire it, but like you should have a piece of paper like that. And then from there, you need to figure out what is your biggest pain point? What is slowing you down the most? Now you can figure out, okay, I need to get a software to help me with this one pain point, and everyone can jump in and help you, and you start talking the same language. Where I see people fail is they're just like, I don't know, help me build my business. And then everyone is like, I don't know where do you want to start? And they're like, I don't know, you're supposed to tell me, right? Like, and you're just trying to swallow too big of a fish, and then ultimately nothing gets done. And now you're just angry at the software provider. You're, if you work with a consultant or maybe your in-house team that's supposed to be working on it, everyone is just frustrated, and then you just simply say like, oh, it's the problem with the software, let me go somewhere else, only to create revisionist history again, right? So take software off the table, just write it on a piece of paper or a whiteboard or something like that, and at that point it's going to create a lot of crystallization on what you need to do and where your biggest pain points are in the business.
I love that. Your vision needs to be clear, otherwise people cannot follow you. I love it. And the like gratification part, that's so true. You know, like too many business owners were like, oh, we're making money and then we're spending it right away because now we have money, you know, like instead of like delaying that just opportunity to see like what can I do with this? How can I reinvest it? How can I continue to grow and scale? Robin, I appreciate you so much. I cannot wait to interview more in depth inside of the event, and we're going to get a chance to highlight you. The high level team is going to be all over the place at the event, from like booths, from tracks, and we're going to have a lot of opportunity to teach everybody. I don't know if you were aware, but we even have a student track where we're teaching
Yeah.
students how to leverage high level before they graduate. So our goal is like, how can the new generation start leveraging this amazing tool to pay for their college, start, you know, their business, or get better opportunities for jobs as they're getting out of college. So I'm super pumped about all these opportunities that we're going to have to, you know, apply high level in very different ways inside of this event.
Aaron, I think that's one of the most fascinating parts and why I'm so happy to be a part of this event. I mean, being able to help the new generation come up with newer opportunities that is not as traditional as people think that it is, mostly coming from a traditional education, but it is real. And there's a ton of opportunity out there. And a lot of business owners want the latest and cutting edge of technology, but there's not a lot of people that can serve and support them. And so being able to help this new generation understand the opportunity that exists is fascinating and something that I want to be a part of. So glad to be there.
I cannot wait to see the impact of that time together with the students, and hopefully we see a lot of light bulbs just like starting in their minds of like things that are possible, just because that's what happened to us, you know, when we saw it. So thank you so much. For everybody that's watching, make sure to get your ticket if you haven't. This is the last call. I know people love last minute. We've sold tickets like the day of the event, and it's crazy. We love you still, so come and join us, skillwithstability.com. And join us at Harding University, April 24th to the 26th next week, happening in Searcy, Arkansas. Thank you again, Robin. We're super excited to see you and the team, and cannot wait to have a lot of fun in those 3 days. See
All
you
right.
guys.
Well, see you next weekend.
Bye. Thank you
Bye.
so much.